I want you to hit the like button. Share the video out. Check this out, y'all. I know this sound a little crazy to y'all. Hold on, let me get it where I can adjust it just right. Y'all think I'm playing? This ain't no game. What's my name? DMX, baby. Ride or die. But you bitches want. Arr, arr. Y'all, I normally don't even eat in the morning. That's why I know something wrong. Listen, y'all, I had a migraine for 2-3 days. So, when you have migraines, that's usually parasites. Because them little demons cause everything. If you don't understand, you don't understand. If you don't know, you don't know. If you need to do research, do research. But we sure can talk about it. Oh, I'm eating. Now, I'm going to post a recipe for some of this homemade stuff as soon as I get through eating. And I put that video together. Now, I'm eating a homemade chocolate chip brownie cookie. That's normal for me. I always eat my sweets with my food. Always. Hit the like. So, I got some homemade fermented pickles. You know, just to mix up that stomach acid. If you want pickling recipe, we can do that too. I got some homemade flour tortillas and some homemade chicken wraps. And I made my own mayo. And I just did a video showing y'all how to do that. And this is leftover chicken from what I fried last night. So I'm about to take a bite now. The topic of the video, see, I got my chicken wrap. You can't really see it though. Did Jeffrey Dahmer delete DMX? Well, I'm watching something, the true story about Jeffrey Dahmer. Guess who I see? Fun fact, y'all. I'm a Rough Rider. DMX Rough Rider. Met him and everything. Yep.
Sexual.
Check
The
this
youngest
out.
was Conorak, age 14.
Let me rewind this a little bit. DMX, baby. This story, this version right here.
That I can tread the straight and narrow. And
hold on, let me rewind this some more. Because this version right here, a little different. I was in the kitchen.
First, and put a blanket around the naked, dazed boy. The two police officers arrived soon after and tried to understand what was going on with this young man of Asian descent. Sandra Smith, 18, and her cousin Nicole Childress, also 18, were standing near the boy when the Milwaukee City Police arrived. The tall blonde man was also standing near the boy. The conversation became heated between the girls, the blonde man, and the police. The tall blonde man told the police that Conorak was his 19-year-old lover who had been drinking too much. Conorak, who was drugged and incoherent, wasn't able to contradict the smooth-talking blonde man. Dahmer gave the police a picture ID. The two young women tried to intervene. They had seen the terrified boy trying to resist the blonde man before the police arrived.
That's crazy.
They were angry and upset. The police were ignoring them and listening to the white man instead. Just to be on the safe side, the two officers went with the boy and the tall blonde man to his apartment. The apartment smelled bad, but it was very neat. Conorak's clothing was folded and placed on the sofa. There were a couple of photographs of Conorak in black bikini briefs. Conorak sat quietly on the sofa, unable to talk intelligently. It's not even clear that he understood the calm explanation the blonde man was giving the police. The blonde man was apologizing that his lover had caused a disturbance and promised it wouldn't happen again. The police believed the blonde man. They had no reason not to. He was well-spoken, intelligent, and very calm. The Asian was apparently drunk and incoherent. The officers, not wanting to get in the middle of a domestic argument between homosexual lovers, left the apartment with Conorak still sitting quietly on the sofa. In that neighborhood.
This part I don't understand. First of all, he blazing clearly. Black and Asian. They don't want to get in between homosexual, because they was homosexual lovers on the cover. It don't matter what kind of lovers they were. They're cops. It's their job. They failed that young man. They should have been held liable.
The officers felt that there were more pressing things for them to do. What they missed in the apartment bedroom was the body of Tony Hughes, whose decomposing corpse had lain for 3 days on the bed. What they missed was the blonde man immediately strangling the Asian boy and having sex with his corpse. What they missed were the photos that the blonde man took of the dead body, the subsequent dismemberment of his body, and the cleaning of his skull to be kept as a trophy. What they missed was the opportunity to take the name of Jeffrey Dahmer off the ID that the man gave.
I can say this. I'm just prepping y'all because it just came to my mind. Okay, I did hospice. And I did, I did all kinds of care. I worked in nursing homes too, so, I seen a lot of death. I witnessed a lot of death. I was right there. I did after death body care. There's a point where your body releases whatever it's got in it, right? Because whatever's holding it back, your body can't do that no more, right? Okay. It's a male corpse. If he slept with the male corpse, there's only one hole he can enter. Well, nose, ears. Okay. That's a lot to explore. Because here I am assuming he only went in the anal canal. If you wild enough to do it, I doubt it's going to be limited just to the anal. Okay, so this applies to any hole he would have entered. Hell, he could have took advantage of pre-rigor mortis or whatever state, and made an okay sign with his hands. For all I know. These are facts, y'all. Sick is sick. However, I'm going to assume he took advantage of the holes that were already there because they're small. So, would he have done it before or after all juices were released? Like, what would it have turned him on to do it, thinking juices could be released at any moment or while they were being released? or trying to hurry up and do it before the juice is released, at the excitement that he's beating the juice is being released, or after the juice is being released, like, oh, it's clean now. I don't know. It's just like, what kind of mind? Man,
and run a background check,
this dude walked amongst people. I'm saying.
which would have told them that the calm, well-spoken man was a convicted child molester who is still on probation. The story didn't stop there.
Wait a
The
minute.
two girls who the police ignored went back home to Sandra Smith's mother, Glenda Cleveland, 36, the woman who lived next to the Oxford apartments, which Jeffrey Dahmer called home. Later, Cleveland called up the officers to find out what happened.
He said Dahmer was a convicted child molester already. I don't remember that.
To the Asian boy. She asked how old the child was. It wasn't a child, it was an adult, the officer said. When she continued to ask questions, he told her, "Ma'am, I can't make it any more clear. It's all taken care of. He's with his boyfriend in his boyfriend's apartment. It's as positive as I can be. I can't do anything about somebody's sexual preferences in life." A couple of days later, Cleveland called the officers back after she read a newspaper article about the disappearance of a Laotian boy named Konarak Sinthasamphone, who looked like the boy that they had seen trying to escape from Jeff Dahmer. They never sent anybody to talk to her. Cleveland even tried contacting the Milwaukee office of the FBI, but nothing came of it. That is, until a couple of months later, on Monday, July 22nd, 1991, when all hell broke loose.
Hit the like.
A couple of months later, on July 22nd, 1991, two Milwaukee police officers were driving around in the very high-crime area of Marquette University. The heat was oppressive and the humidity almost unbearable. The smell of the neighborhood was all the more pungent in the heat. The garbage on the streets, the urine and feces left by the homeless,
Man,
the
that's
rancid
crazy.
stink of cooked grease. Around midnight, as the two officers sat in their car, they saw a short, wiry black man with a handcuff dangling from his wrist. Assuming that this man had escaped from another policeman, they asked him what he was doing. The man started to pour out a tale about this weird dude who put the cuffs on him in his apartment. The man was Tracy Edwards.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they came down on them with guns drawn. Can you hit that like button? There's two people in here watching and 0 likes. I just don't remember Dahmer being a convicted child molester at this point. I don't remember us knowing that. Okay, you can leave. It's not gonna kill you to hit the like button. You saw the title, you clicked on the video, hit the like. I mean, right there is a survivor. This wrap is good. I'm good and good and good and good to go. Hit that like button. So, I'm going to post the recipe and instructions. Show y'all. Just see me making it. It's really simple.
Edwards' story smacked of some homosexual encounter that normally the police would avoid, but the two policemen thought they ought to check out this man that had cuffed Edwards, who lived at the Oxford Apartments at 924 North 25th Street. The door to apartment 213 was opened by a nice-looking 31-year-old blonde man. Dahmer was very calm and rational. He offered to get the key to the handcuffs in the bedroom. Edwards remembered that the knife that Dahmer had threatened him with was also in the bedroom. One of the officers decided to go into the bedroom himself and take a look. He noticed photographs lying around that shocked him. Dismembered human bodies, skulls in the refrigerator. When he collected his wits, he yelled to his partner to cuff Dahmer and place him under arrest. The placid, rational blonde man suddenly turned on them as the other cop tried to help him. While the one officer subdued Dahmer, the other one went to the refrigerator and opened it. He shrieked loudly at the face that stared out at him and slammed the door. "There's a freaking head in the refrigerator!" A closer examination of the apartment revealed an intimate juxtaposition of the tidy and the unspeakable. While the small one-bedroom flat was neat and clean, especially for a bachelor, and his pet fish well cared for, the smell of decomposition was overwhelming. The box of baking soda in
This dude trying to be artistic and shit. He trying to be poetic. The apartment was neat and clean. Really? That's what we looking at? His pet fish was well cared for? Did he just say his pet fish was well cared for? Did he just say his pet fish was well cared for? His pet fish was well cared for. Well, let's see. How would we know if his pet fish was not well cared for? Oh, he'd be flown to the top.
The refrigerator hardly absorbed the odors of a decomposing, severed head. The freezer had 3 more heads, stored neatly in plastic bags and tied with plastic twisties. There was a door that led to the bedroom closet, and bath, which had been outfitted with a deadbolt lock. Anne E. Schwartz, the reporter who was first on the scene, describes what she saw in her book, The Man Who Could Not Kill Enough. In the back of the closet was a metal stock pot that contained decomposed hands and a penis. On the shelf above the kettle were 2 skulls. Also in the closet were containers of ethyl alcohol, chloroform, and formaldehyde, along with some glass jars holding male genitalia preserved in formaldehyde. Polaroid photos were taken by Dahmer at various stages of his victims' deaths. One showed a man's head with the flesh still in.
Where does a random person get formaldehyde from? As a tanker truck driver, I hauled formaldehyde. I never not tell this story. Used to take it to places like Coca-Cola because they put it in your drink. Box making companies, they put it in your furniture. They put it in like cardboard boxes, which, you know, everything that's a chemical that's in something that you put in your home emits into the air. You breathe it in, blah, 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 blah. How does a random person get it though? Anybody remember what Jeffrey did for a living besides take pictures of men naked? Eat them, kill them, have sex with the corpse? Anybody?
Intact, lying in the sink. Another displayed a victim cut open from the neck to the groin, like a deer gutted after the kill.
That's crazy.
Cut so clean, I could see the pelvic bone clearly.
That's crazy.
Some of the photos were his victims before he murdered them in various erotic and bondage poses. The police, the county medical examiner, the media, families of missing young men, Jeff Dahmer's family, the entire city of Milwaukee, and the whole world tried to understand what had happened in apartment 213. Eventually, the story began to tumble out. The first person to plumb the depths of Jeffrey Dahmer's depravity was Detective Patrick Kennedy, a huge bear of a man with a dramatic handlebar mustache. He engaged Dahmer's confidence and was the person to whom Dahmer confessed the details of his 13-year killing spree. While Dahmer had fantasies about killing men and having sex with their corpses as early as age 14, he didn't do anything about it until just after he graduated high school in June of 1978. He picked up a hitchhiker named Stephen Hicks when he was living with his parents in the upscale community of Bath, Ohio. They had sex and drank beer, but then Hicks wanted to leave. Dahmer couldn't stand the idea of Hicks leaving, so he struck him in the head with a barbell and killed him. He needed to get rid of the body, so he cut it up, packaged it up in plastic garbage bags, and buried the bags in the woods behind his house. That fall, he attended Ohio State University for a semester, but flunked out. At the end of 1978, he left to join the army and was stationed in Germany. He didn't kill anyone when he was in the army, and this was corroborated by an exhaustive investigation by the German police. After a couple of years, the army discharged him for alcoholism, and he went to live in Florida before returning to Ohio. Once back home, he dug up Hicks's body, pounded the decomposing corpse with a sledgehammer, and scattered the remains in the woods. A few months after his arrest in October of 1981 for drunken and disorderly conduct, his father thought it best that Jeffrey go live with his grandmother in West Allis, Wisconsin. Things were calm for a few months, until he dropped his trousers in the company of a group of people. He apparently had a bit to drink. He kept things under control for another 4 years, until he was again arrested in September of 1986 for masturbating in front of 2 boys. He was put on probation for a year. He killed his second victim, Stephen Toomey, in a hotel room in September of 1987. The 2 of them had been drinking heavily in one of the popular gay bars. Dahmer didn't know how he killed him, but when he awoke, Toomey was dead and blood was on his mouth. He bought a large suitcase and stuffed the body inside. After he took Toomey's corpse to his grandmother's basement, he had sex with it, masturbated on it, dismembered it, and threw it in the garbage. Several months later, he selected his 3rd victim, a 14-year-old Native American boy named Jamie Doxeter, who hung around outside the gay bars, looking for relationships. Dahmer's methods had become established by that time. Normally, he would meet and select his prey at gay bars or bathhouses. He would lure his victims by offering them money for posing for photographs, or simply to enjoy some beer and videos. Then he would drug them, strangle them, masturbate on their bodies, or have sex with the corpses, dismember the bodies, and dispose of them.
Crazy.
Sometimes he would keep the skulls or other body parts as souvenirs. He practiced this ritual on Richard Guerrero, a handsome young man of Mexican origin, in late March of 1988. Dahmer said he met him at a gay bar in Milwaukee, but the young man's family disputed that their son was anything but heterosexual. By the summer of that year, Dahmer had killed 4 men. While Dahmer's grandmother was completely ignorant of the awful things that were happening in her basement, she was fully aware of the noise of drunkenness of Jeff and his male friends. Something had to be done. So, on September 25th, 1988, Jeffrey moved into an apartment on North 24th Street in Milwaukee. The very next day, he got into serious trouble. He offered a 13-year-old Laotian boy $50.
Now, people say this dude was handsome. Where?
To pose for some pictures. He drugged the boy and fondled him, but did not get violent or have intercourse with him. By incredible coincidence, the boy's last name was Sinthasomphone. He was the older brother of the boy that Dahmer would kill in May of 1991. The boy's parents realized that there was something wrong with their child and took him to the hospital, where it was confirmed that he had been drugged. The police picked up Dahmer at his job at the mixer of Ambrosia chocolate. He was arrested for sexual exploitation of a child in 2nd degree.
That's probably where he got the formaldehyde from. Yep. The chocolate factory.
Sexual assault. On January 30th, 1989, he pleaded guilty, although he claimed that he thought that the boy was much older than he was. While Dahmer awaited sentencing and was living again at his grandmother's house, he met a black homosexual named Anthony Sears, 24, at a gay bar. Like the others, he offered the aspiring black model some money to pose for photos. When they reached Dahmer's grandmother's house, Sears was drugged and strangled. Dahmer had sex with his corpse and then dismembered it. Ann Schwartz describes what happened next. He kept the head and boiled it to remove the skin, later painting it gray so that in case of discovery, the skull would look like a plastic model used by medical students.
What?
Dahmer saved the trophy for 2 years until it was recovered from apartment 213 on July 23, 1991. Later, he explained that he masturbated in front of the skulls for gratification. On May 23, 1989, Dahmer's lawyer, Gerald Boyle, and Assistant DA Gail Shelton presented their arguments to Judge William Gardner. Shelton wanted a prison sentence of at least 5 years. In my judgment, it is absolutely crystal clear that the prognosis for treatment of Mr. Dahmer within the community is extremely bleak. His perception that what he did wrong here was choosing too young a victim, and that that's all he did wrong, is a part of the problem. He appeared to be cooperative and receptive, but anything that goes below the surface indicates that the deep-seated anger and deep-seated psychological problems that he is unwilling or incapable of dealing with. 3 psychologists examined him and concurred that Dahmer was manipulative, resistant, and evasive. Hospitalization and intensive treatment were recommended. Boyle, the defense attorney, argued that Dahmer was sick and needed treatment, not prison. He praised the fact that he had held a job. We don't have multiple offenders here. I believe that he was caught before it got to the point where it would have gotten worse, which means that it is a blessing in disguise. Dahmer himself spoke in his own defense, blaming his behavior on alcoholism. He was articulate and convincing, for someone who had secretly murdered several men by that time. What I've done is very serious. I've never been in this position before. Nothing this awful. This is a nightmare come true for me. If anything would shock me out of my past behavior patterns, it's this. The one thing I have in my mind that is stable and gives me some source of pride is my job. I've come very close to losing it because of my actions, which I take full responsibility for. All I can do is beg you, please spare my job. Please give me a chance to show that I can tread the straight and narrow and not get involved in.
He wanted to keep that job so he can keep getting that formaldehyde. That's what that was.
Any situation like this ever again. This enticing a child was the climax of my idiocy. I do want help. I do want to turn my life around. A marvelous performance by a true psychopath. The judge fell for it, stayed his sentence, and put Dahmer on probation for 5 years. He was ordered to spend 1 year in the House of Correction under work release, which allowed him to go to work during the day and return to the jail at night. After 10 months, the judge granted him early release, despite a letter from Dahmer's father urging him not to release him until he received treatment. He went to stay with his grandmother in early March of 1990, but his stay there was conditional upon him finding his own place to live. On May 14, 1990, Dahmer moved to 924 North 25th Street, apartment 213, and the killing began in earnest. During the following 15 months, Dahmer went on a killing binge that cost 12 men their lives. The pace of Dahmer's murders.
That dude right there look like DMX. Second bottom from the right. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 people. That's crazy.
Accelerated to a frenzy in May to July of 1991, when he was killing almost at a rate of 1 man a week. All but 3 were black, 1 was white, 1 was Laotian, and 1 was Hispanic. Most, but not all, were homosexual or bisexual. The youngest was Conorak, age 14, and the oldest was 31. Many of the victims lived what police called high-risk lifestyles. Most of the men had arrest records, often for various serious crimes like arson, sexual assault, rape, and battery. The following listing appears in Ann Schwartz's The Man Who Could Not Kill Enough. Edward Smith, June 1990. Ricky Lee Beeks, July 1990. Ernest Miller, September 1990. David Thomas, September 1990. Curtis Straughter, February 1991. Errol Lindsay, April 1991. Anthony Hughes, May 24th, 1991. Conorak Sinthasophone, May 27th, 1991. Matt Turner, June 30th, 1991. Jeremiah Weinberger, July 5th, 1991. Oliver Lacey, July 12th, 1991. Joseph Breithoft, July 19th,
That's the one that like DMX.
Dahmer's ritual for luring, murdering, and disposing of his victims was usually the same. He invited the men to his apartment to watch sexually explicit videos or to pose for photos. He crushed up his prescribed sedatives and served them in drinks. Once drugged, Dahmer strangled them with his bare hands or with a leather strap. He frequently had sex with the corpses and later masturbated on them. Before any cleanup began, Dahmer reached for his Polaroid to capture the entire experience so that he could remember each and every murder. Then he cut open their torsos. He was fascinated by the color of the viscera and was sexually aroused by the heat that the freshly killed bodies would give off. Finally, he would dismember the men, photographing each stage of the process for future viewing pleasure. He disposed of most of the bodies, experimenting with various chemicals and acids that would reduce the flesh and bone to a black, evil-smelling sludge.
I'm telling y'all, he got them chemicals from that chocolate factory he worked at. Listen, y'all, I can't. It's too early for this. it's too early. It's too early. I can't go no further. Hit the like button. We not doing this.